about? That all fish will share this neutral mutation?
No, you're not.
What?
I don't think you get it.
I don't think you get
Not
it.
necessarily. I mean, there could be some that are shared we call these sin apomorphies, which are traits that are shared across everybody in a certain group that are derived. Now, you can look at some changes, and they would be shared within a certain group, but they wouldn't be shared with it anyway. That's not what I'm talking about. So I'll tell you what I did. I put a link in the chat. You can go to that link. There's a paper, and you can look at the paper. You can download the PDF, and I'm going to tell you what figure to look at, and I want you to explain that figure to me.
Yeah.
And tell me which model is supported. And
All right.
that's figure 2 in that paper.
Do that now, or do you want me to do that on our debate?
You're not having a debate.
You can forget about that. It's a gigantic waste of time for me to do that. I gave you a link in the chat. Go to there, look at figure 2, explain it to me.
Because I already explained. All right, I'll do it right now in the chat. But I already explained why it would work on independent lineages as well, because common ancestry is still a thing. It's just the extent of common ancestry is not all to the same microbe.
We've had this exact debate on non sequitur before. It did not go well.
Wow. No, I'm actually reading the paper right now. 17 coding genes comprising a total of 3,657 aligned codons. Holy fuck, that is a massive... Jesus Christ. Yeah, Joe, good luck with figure 2, buddy. Wow.
Yeah, figure 2 is something else.
Wow.
This is where I have a little bit of... this is where I have a little bit of a problem, because there's a lot of people just point to a phylogenetic tree and say that tree is sort of somehow a demonstration of evolution. And it doesn't work that way. The paper I'm pointing out is an explicit test of common ancestry. You know, most phylogenetic trees are generated, any single gene that you build a tree out of is just a gene tree for that gene. It doesn't really prove common ancestry by itself.
Can you show an example, though, please?
I did. I gave you a whole paper.
No,
gave you a whole paper.
Of like a cat and a dog having same.
No, that is not at all what evolution says.
Well, they
no. Fuck off with your crocodile.
But we already know that they do have an ancestor.
No.
We're going to break in real quick. Jar Jar Blue says, great minds think alike, but this hangout is evidence that stupid minds don't think at all.
Yeah. Joe, there is evidence of cats and dogs' ancestry is about 55 million years ago, by the way.
But do they share a neutral mutation?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course.
When we build phylogenetic trees, one way that we do it is it's very important to build them off of neutral mutation. A lot of the models of evolution that we use depend on us measuring neutral variation to do this. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but we have all kinds of trees based not only just on a few genes, but on whole genomes for mammals that clearly point to this idea that mammals share a common ancestry. And that's over and over again. And that data is congruent with what we know from the fossil record. So it's not just one line of data. It's multiple lines of data over and over again that all corroborate and tell the same story. That's what you want to see in science.
Well, all that data could also support the alternate model as well.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And if you go to the figure that I showed you, there are 2 distributions of data. One distribution of data is for independent ancestry. One distribution is for common ancestry. They are way far apart from one another. When you have 2 distributions that don't overlap and they're way far apart, literally hundreds of standard deviations away from each other, that means that those 2 models aren't the same thing. So you can only explain the data from the common ancestry model.
And these expected entropy values were calculating using Price's theorem. I can already see on that.
So Price's theorem has to do with selection and stuff. This has nothing to do with that.
Where do I find this?
They didn't use Price's on this because.
Where do you find this? He linked it.
I don't know where it's linked at.
Google.
Is this the statistical evidence of common ancestry testing and Noah's silent sites?
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, there is somebody that
I can get you guys
the
this paper. I have it right here.
I think you and G-Man would be a really good debate. What do you think?
I know this could be argued, but I want to understand more about it before I do it, because everything else I've
Joe. I actually like Joe. He's way off the mark and on Mars, but Joe's personable.
I have a question for Joe.
I got an answer.
No, you don't.
I don't know about that.
I do. I know about that.
So, Joe, it seems like you are one of the outliers in your group because Izzy was pretty, well, she seemed to say that she believed in evolution. I'm not entirely certain about that because she said that when they found the Mary Schweitzer's bone that it was just a really old ostrich. How does not believing in evolution have anything to do with whether or not dinosaurs existed?
It's part of something propaganda, I can tell.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, sure. Propaganda. There you go again.
What is propagandist about evidence and reporting accurately the finds and scientific research that goes into these finds?
Well, like I said, it's very one-sided because it could go...
It's not one-sided.
Okay, DNA.
Science is all about trying to falsify the conclusions that are
but
being...
what is pseudoscience about?
Crazy.
Ask yourself that.
Crazy people.
How do you know it's not pseudoscience? How do you know it's not pseudoscience?
Because it's consistently gone through the peer review process and gotten to the point where it cannot be falsified at this current point of time with our current evidence. With our current evidence, it is the best model that explains the phenomenon that we see, and the reason that we know that is because we try to prove it wrong. And
So
when
is
we try to prove it wrong, it fails.
So is chromosome 2 fusion evidence for or against evolution?
What do you mean?
Chromosome 2 fusion, do you know what that is?
Oh, no.
Yes, I know what chromosome 2 is.
Wait. Joe, you don't want to go here, man. You really don't. I know you're trying to make a name for yourself.
All right, wisdom teeth.
Seriously, dude. I mean, come on, don't do this. Because you're about to embarrass the living fuck out of yourself.
I don't have that
Especially
emotion.
with like 4 of us in here.
I believe
Maybe
that.
you should develop
That might be true.
He doesn't have any. He doesn't have that emotion. I believe that.
Yeah, there are some people that just don't care about being embarrassed.
All right, so is
Call it no
chromosome 2
shame.
fusion?
Yeah, it's called no. Yeah, I mean, no shame. I mean, do you have no shame?
It's
Joe?
called
I'm
maybe
just kinda
being a
curious.
sociopath, but
Are you associate? No. Well, Joe, how would you answer that?
Possible.
What am I?
possible.
Sociopathic.
Misguided.
Yeah, all of the above.
Confused.
So chromosome 2 fusion is pro or against evolution? Or is it ambiguous?
Dr. Mays.
I don't know enough about the subject to draw a conclusion either which way.
But couldn't
Yeah,
go both ways. I mean,
it's-
I've
I
talked
your
to Roof on this, and Roof's done a lot of analysis on human chromosome 2. His position is that the evidence can go kind of different ways, but it definitely is a fusion. It definitely does exist. It's a head-to-head end-to-end chromosomal fusion. It's a ribosome translocation. It does exist. Tompkins says it's highly expressed. I asked Dr. Jeanson about the expression levels, where his data is for that. I've gotten nothing. I've gotten bump kiss, seriously, even from Dr. Tompkins. We can't find where he says that there's a gene called the DX11L2 gene that is transcribed across the fusion site. No such thing. So the argument is, basically, if it's not a fusion, then what is it? Is it just completely something from kind of like intelligent design thing? Yeah, possible, I guess. But what's the odds of that, Dr. Mays? I mean, just ridiculous.
It's exactly what you would expect to see if humans and chimps and bonobos share a common ancestry.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And
what we see.
I might add,
Exactly.
it's not like we only rest the common ancestry of humans and chimps on human chromosome 2.
But we can only talk about one thing at a time.
Thousands of other lines of evidence outside of that.
And they're all the same type of evidence. They're all the same evidence. It's all the same ambiguous evidence.
Why is that ambiguous? What's
not
ambiguous about the head-to-head fusion? What's ambiguous? You can actually look at the nuclear.
What's ambiguous about us sharing 96%? Or is it 97? I'm not sure.
98.5, give or take, depending on what system you use. But we can actually look at the nucleotide sequence and show that the motifs are what we would expect for an end-to-end fusion. That's what we would look. If we say, hey, what would one look like? We would expect TTA, TGG, and then the inverse. That's what we see.
Joe, Bob Jenkins said this is Schadenfreude in its finest form, and I hope that I pronounced that right.
And I might add, the 2 chromosomes that are lined up in our chromosome 2, one of them matches one chimpanzee chromosome, the other matches another chimpanzee chromosome. So it's not like one of them is like just out of nowhere.
What do you mean?
Both.
There's different varieties of.
Our one chromosome matches with two chimpanzee
PT12
chromosomes.
and PT13. HC2 is equivalent to them.
Absolutely.
What is this other chimpanzee? Is it another variety of chimpanzee?
It's not another variety of chimpanzee. Okay, it is one. Okay, our one chromosome is the fusion of two chimpanzee chromosomes. All chimpanzees have these two chromosomes.
So do humans.
These two chromosomes. No. Ours
humans have that
Yes,
chromosome.
yes, so do humans. Except for us, those two are stuck together.
Yeah, so what? Humans' chromosomes got fused. We could wake up tomorrow and have another chromosome fused.
Well, that has happened. No, that's happened. There's actually a guy. There actually is a guy that lives. He's diploid number 2N44. He has 44 chromosomes for that very reason. There's actually a family in Finland that has them.
Wake up. I know it happens. I just hope it doesn't happen when I wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, fusions and
well, it
breaks
happens at the
happen
gamete level, doesn't it? I mean, it would have to be on the germ level, right?
for it to be passed on. I mean, you can get fusions in somatics.
Somatic cells, but I mean, yeah, okay.
Joe
doesn't
believe in germs, though. Joe doesn't believe in germs. So
I believe in germs.
Joe,
germs are not.
No, you don't. You don't believe in viruses.
Right.
Sexual.
I think this came up earlier. You asked, well, how do you know it's pseudoscience versus how do you know it's science? Let me give you a little hint. When it's pseudoscience, it typically is almost always only found on the internet being broadcast out of people's bedrooms. When it's science, it's in actual labs done by people with professional careers and published in places that get subjected to some scrutiny.
But don't you know how the system works?
In letters after their name. Squirlosa says, I was going to ask Joe about punctuated equilibrium, but he doesn't even understand evolution, so that would just go nowhere real fast.
Bill, hey, Bill, you want to chime in on this, Bill? I know you're probably itching to kind of get in a little bit.
Please.
We've been ignoring Bill and
Bill,
the superstar.
And
please get in this.
You're giving Puffalophagus an aneurysm, by the way.
Do it.
You guys are doing awesome. I'm just working on the beer. So.
Yeah, I got a poor man's White Russian, but whatever.
We want to know your thoughts. And by the way, everybody says that Trevor's laugh and beard wins the night. So.
Oh yeah, no, dude.
Agreed.
You know what's I can't tell which ones are my favorite people. It's like I love all you. It's just like amazing to be in such awe of so many people in here.
I know. I instantly feel like super dumb in this room right now.
I know. I feel like a moron.
But I will say that Wotan and Joe are kind of balancing me out. So I feel.
Yeah, I can safely say you're not the dumbest person in the room. This is for sure.
True, there's a flat earther here.
I find it rather funny why you guys don't have like Michael Behe or David Balinski.
Bring him in.
Bring him in,
dude.
Bring him in.
I am all for that.
It's your show. It's your show. You guys know how to invite them.
We know how to. Doesn't mean they're going to join.
Hold on. Let me clear that up. Because that was a direct accusation to us. We are afraid of having no one on this show. We would not be afraid of not one person.
We have tackled all kinds of shit, brother.
The biggest names, you name it, they can come on here. They have an open invitation any day of the week. They won't take it because they actually have something to lose in that field, and that would be
no. Now you're making a claim. Now you're making an accusation.
I'm just saying for them.
No. You're saying that you invited David Balinski and Michael Behe to the show, and they declined.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
That's not what he said.
My God, do you have such a filter when you change what people say?
You were framing it that way. You were framing it that way just now.
That's not what he framed it as.
No, he was not. Wow, dude, you really need to listen, man.
I said that we are not afraid of having anyone on here.
That's exactly what he said.
We invite some of the biggest names in the field, like Eric Dubai. I've emailed him personally 6 times, and I got a thing back from him. And you know
I've emailed Mark Sargent and Patricia Steele and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, they won't do it.
Orphan Red blocked me, even though I have a video dedicated to her.
I do want to add one thing that I have noticed. I do think you guys are afraid of having some people on if you don't have alcohol.
Fair enough. I'm okay with that, brother. Yeah, no, I know, but I think Kyle's right. Look, we started the Non Sequitur with the premise that opinions are sacred, and we'll allow people on once, twice. That's not a given, right? So we will tackle many different subjects once. And then if we decide it's not worth it, it's a shit show, then we'll just kind of bow out. But dude, if someone wants to come on, yeah, go ahead, George.
I have one real quick thing. I have to go make room for more beer, i.e., urination. But because Wotan in the bottom right hand of my screen has been sitting there awfully quiet and all that. And he is here for